today with us we have Mr. Jashish Kambali, Executive Partner, Future Factory. I would like to invite on stage. Put your hands together once again for our honorable guest, Zoda Taya Hunzawe, आपल्या मान्यवर अतिथींसाठी. Thank you, sir.
So I was called here to talk about the role of design in the appliance market. That's what we do. That's what I do. I work for this company called Future Factory. We are based in Mumbai. We have an office in Bangalore and another office in Singapore. And my job in that is the design, the nuts and bolts part of it. So I'm going to talk about the way the role of design has changed across the 25 years that I've been part of the design industry. I'm from the same institute. I did my engineering, and then I went to NID, and then I started, and people asked me, so I would go around, I would open the yellow pages in the morning and say, oh, this guy makes pens, and then I would make a call. And then someone would say, okay, come. Someone would say no. Someone would say tomorrow. And I would go, and it started there. Design has changed. The world has changed. And in these 25 years that I've been practicing, we've seen a huge change in what has happened. Yeah, and I'm going to talk you through some of this. Okay? Anyone has ever heard about this guy? His name is Islamabad Kingdom Brunel. Anyone? No one, right? I had also not heard of this guy. Okay? So I put it up here because when I come here, I'm supposed to be intelligent. I'm supposed to know things that you guys don't know. I didn't know about this guy before I put this presentation together. Okay? But in the late 1800s, early 1900s, the world was formed, the globe as we know it, the economy as we know it, was formed and shaped by some brilliant people who had these big visions, yeah? And, okay, any guy who changed the world in those times, any names? Henry Ford? Henry Ford, we've heard of Ford Motor Company? Yeah. So there these guys, the guy who invented what else? Edison. These are people who have really changed the world. No one knows about this guy. But this guy was awesome, right? What he did was he was given the task of, he was an engineer like a lot of you guys, okay, are going to be. And he was given the task of making the Great Western Railway, I think it was called. Is it there? No, it's not there. Anyway. And he could have made a normal railway line based on a steam engine and, but he had a vision. He said, I don't want it to be a railway line. I want it to be like people are floating across the countryside so that they can enjoy the view. Now, this in 1840 was a very radical thought, right? Today we are used to cruising, the cars, the roads, they're all fantastic. But in 1840, this was a great vision. And he didn't stop there, right? He didn't stop there. He went on to say, why should the railway end in London or in Britain? Why can't we have the railway all the way to New York? Yeah. So he actually talked about the first continuous ticket where you could get on in London and get off in New York. Yeah. So this train which went in, is that part of the, and there's some noise coming in. I think it's very interesting. Okay. Okay. So there were these guys back then about 150 years ago that did fantastic work, and we are all reaping the benefits. And then we had two world wars, World War I, World War II. After that, the whole manufacturing process, it built up so much of a surplus in the war that when the war got over, they had nothing to make. And that's when actually the entire mechanism which was put together to manufacture for the war was moved towards other things. Yeah, and people started making toasters and washing machines and refrigerators because those factories had to be kept running, right? So not many people know that Mercedes and all these other fancy German brands are actually war brands. They started manufacturing aircrafts for Hitler. Yeah, and post-war they had nothing to do, so they started making cars and other things. Yeah? But that's the birth of appliances. That's also around the time design as a profession came about. Back when Brunel was around, there was no design as a profession. Yeah? And design became a subset of R&D. It was about making things ergonomic. It was about making things easy to use. It was about making them nice to look at so that we wanted to use them. It was a subset of either marketing or R&D. And that's what design did all the way till the 90s, right? And we lived in this whole era of continuous improvement, which Japan and companies like Toyota, they kind of pushed. And they pushed really hard, and they did a great job of it. What Toyota did is they figured out that an engine actually would last 20 years, and the rest of the car would fall off in 10 years. Okay, body would rot in 5 years, brakes would give in 7 years, something else would, and the engine would last for 20 years. So what actually Toyota did is they actually brought in this process where they could get the entire car to fail almost at the same time. Now we know Toyotas last forever, but honestly that was a big revolution in the auto industry, and that became the process. Yeah? Come the 2000s, and things changed again. What happened to design in the 2000s is that everyone had the same kind of technology to make the same kind of products. So all the products were good, but they were damn boring. Yeah? So what design was asked to do at that point in time was to actually tell a story. And like any good story, you guys know this, right? Yeah? What is this? This was way before your time. But you all have seen this movie? Yes. What is it? What are the guys' names? Not Dharma. Okay. So those guys, right? So any good story has a beginning. Yeah? And after that, it has to have conflict, right? Yeah? Basanti came in and Gabbar came in, there was conflict. And then, okay, there is a call to action. Yeah? Someone stands up. And then there is an end. What's wrong with this end? Huh? No. What's wrong with it? What is wrong with this end? वो तो मर गया था. He was not there only. I couldn't find a picture of the end, happy ending, so I put this only. But honestly, so any good story has 3 or 4 parts, yeah? And that's what it is for design, right? So beginning, you need a context. I'm not going to talk about it too much, but Roshali did a great job. What was the context for Vadilal? Milk not being seen in their ice cream. Yeah, so there's a conflict, there's a problem that comes from that context, okay? You brainstorm, you find ways to solve that problem, interesting ways, very innovative ways to solve those problems. And then you come down to a solution, and forget about the last one, that's bad humor from my side, but yeah, okay. We know this guy? Yeah, everyone knows this guy, okay? But by the time the storytelling thing was happening in the background in the 2000s, there was already this man who had come back for the second time to Apple. Do we know he was thrown out of Apple? Yes. Yeah, he was thrown out, and then in the late 90s he was brought back because Apple was sinking. And no matter how much we say about this guy, it's actually not enough, right? Because he did, of course, he set the foundations for the first trillion-dollar company. We know Apple has gone through the roof again. Yeah, we've got all our smartphones and computers and everything. But what he did, which is very, very important, which most of us don't realize, is this, right? We see the world as it is. He taught us to see the world as it can be. Yeah. Today, the reason all of you guys are saying entrepreneurs is because you see yourself as being able to change things around you. Yeah? That was not the case 20 years ago. This man, almost single-handedly, has actually brought design and creative thinking and entrepreneurship to the forefront. Yeah? I mean, there are the Ubers and the Facebooks of today, but this guy is a pioneer like no one else. Yeah? And that's what design is today. This is actually too old for you guys. Anyone knows this movie called The Rain Man? No one. One person. Okay, 2 people. Okay, it's it's about an autistic guy or a person with disabilities, but a fantastic mind who actually creates rain. So what does Rain Man mean? A person who can create rain when there is no water, right? So basically a person who can find solutions when everything looks impossible. And that is what the world expects of design and of young people actually, right? You guys are expected to be rain men. And that's the way design is today. What we are being called upon to do, so we are a design and innovation and strategy company, but what a lot of our clients are calling us to do today is not design their products. They're calling us and saying, what should we design next? Yeah? How should we do this? What business should we be in? And that's a very interesting place for design to be. That's a very interesting place for anyone with a creative mind to be in. Yeah. One example, we all know of Dell. Most of us have used a Dell computer or come across a workstation or whatever, right? Dell, back in the late 90s, early 2000s, they built this empire. Michael Dell built his empire on logistics. You know what logistics is? Supply chain. How fast material comes in, how fast material goes out, right? So I get in raw material, I convert it into a computer, and I send it out, right? And Dell is a massive company, and was a massive company back then as well. Do you know how big one of their warehouses was? It was 100 square feet. 100 square feet is the size of the stage. Yeah. That's how much they had made their logistics tight, right? So when we talk about design as a process, I don't think they did it through design. They did it through science and number crunching and everything else. But they had actually managed to bring that entire company's warehousing, raw material warehousing, to 100 square feet. And that gave them immense leverage, right? And then, like Vrushali again said, you have an Uber, and in this case an Airbnb, yeah, that has no inventory at all. That's today. Yeah, that was amazing for Dell in 1990 to have a 100 square foot warehouse. It's mind-boggling. And can you imagine the guys who have rocked the hotel industry don't own a hotel? Yeah, they don't, and the guys who have rocked transport don't own cars or drivers. Yeah, and that's the power of creative thinking, right? So what's changed between then and now? Yeah. First, and this is very important for all of you guys to keep in mind, no matter what you do. Yeah? Business has realized the importance of being human-centered. Yeah? How many of you guys whose father had a Bajaj scooter? Okay, so in the good old days, do you know what you all went to Bajaj scooter factory? You know what the waiting period for a Bajaj scooter was? 8 years. 8 years you have to wait for a Bajaj scooter. When the Bajaj scooter came to your house, the entire mohalla came together and said, "Inke paas Bajaj scooter hai." That was the case. You know how long you had to wait for a landline? Another 7-8 years for a phone. Yeah, that is back in the 70s and 80s. Today, if the guy doesn't give you a scooter when you walk into the showroom, you'll go to the next showroom. Yeah. So with the amount of choice, it's become increasingly important to be human-centered. Yeah, to design products or to manufacture and sell products that are based on human needs. Yeah, and okay, so that's one. Anyone understands what this is? What does thinking by doing mean? How many of you all do experiments in the lab? Everyone, right? All of us go, and then we'll have one kind of rheostat. What is it called? I'm forgetting. Yeah. Yeah. And then we'll connect some wires to it. We'll see things. We'll read graphs, and then we come out of the lab. We copy someone else's journal, and it's over, and it's gone, and it's packed up, right? And we forget about the scientific thought, right? So today is very different. Today is all about learning while doing. So we are not worried about science anymore. There are other scientists. They're doing some kick-ass work. But for us, it's about opening a phone, taking it apart, seeing what is inside, trying to put it back. How many of you guys have fiddled with an Arduino? Yeah? At least a few, yeah? So, a lot of things that are happening are about experimentation at a base level, right? And there's some interesting businesses being created out of this. So, this is another fundamental shift in business. The third and most important thing is design has always been problem focused. Yeah? Today it's no longer problem focused. It's not about the problem, it's about the opportunity. Yeah? It's two sides of the same coin, but when you see them differently, one means, oh my God, there's trouble. One means, wow, I can be this amazing thing, right? And you guys who are talking about being entrepreneurs are seeing the opportunity, not seeing the problem. And that's the huge shift in mindset. Yeah? And business has also seen that as a shift. This guy is Bono. He is the lead singer for a band called U2, My Time Band. Okay? But why he finds himself here on my slide is not because I like his music. It's because he famously said, why would I go to the Grammys when I could go to the World Economic Forum? Yeah? He uses art not to win, to make money. He makes enough money, but he chose it to direct governments to change policy for Africa. And he is one of the most influential people in changing the way of life in the African continent. Right? Amazing example of what music can do when your passion is aligned to something bigger. And the word here is impact, right? It's not about making money. It's not about, getting out there. It's about the impact you create. And no matter who you are, what your profession is, all of you have the opportunity to do it, like this man here. Yeah. I've worked in appliances for so many years. I was supposed to talk about appliances. You have not seen a single appliance in this presentation so far. This is the only one I'm going to talk about. I don't know if any of you have seen this. This is, any guesses what this is? Yeah, so it's a refrigerator. Yeah. It's a refrigerator for the bottom of the pyramid. So last year, conservatively, we sold about 5,000 crores worth of future factory designed goods in India alone. Okay. So as a company, we have a lot of business success, but that's fine. What I like to talk about is this. This product has not made money, at least not so far. Yeah. But what it has done is it has taken a technology and made refrigeration possible for millions and millions of people who live off the grid. Maybe they have the money, maybe they don't have the money, but they don't have the electricity. Yeah? And this object actually makes refrigeration possible for them. And it does it by doing so many new things, right? So, can you guess what the body is made out of? ABS, fiber, plastic, metal. It's made out of cloth. Yeah. It's a fabric body. Why? Because we needed to keep the cost down. It's got this engineers, you all have heard about Seebeck-Peltier effect? Yeah. Dissimilar junction, pass electricity, one side gets hot, one side gets cold. Yeah. It was used in maybe can coolers for Coke cans, and it's been used in the electronics industry to cool down gaming consoles and stuff like that. It's the first time ever this has been put to use in domestic refrigeration. Yeah? So all the way from flying to Austin and tying up with a company in the US to getting fabric into it to keep costs down, and to using it as a canvas for infinite amount of customization and to build a connect with the audience, right? So this is a young girl drawing on Chotukul. This was then painted and this was auctioned. And this was done in, this was the launch in Latur. Yeah. So this is a project that has not made money, but it's a lambi race ka ghoda. Yeah. It's already the same technology we have implemented in different things, Yeah? And those are making money. This is yet not making money. But that start was very important. Yeah? And it makes me feel very good. This product incidentally won the Edison Award in the US. It got a gold for Edison in the US. It also was featured in Shinzo Abe. You know Shinzo Abe? Japanese Prime Minister. In his speech to the Japanese Parliament on the India-Japan collaboration, the only thing he talked about was Chotu. Yeah? So it's not made money, but it's made impact. Yeah? And I think money is important, but impact is a different thing altogether. Yeah? Okay? I talked about Bono. Who's this guy? He is Ganesh. He is not Nawazuddin, he is Ganesh, okay? He is Ganesh Gaitonde, right? I didn't know Nawazuddin from Adam till I saw this. Yeah? He is Ganesh Gaitonde. And here, therefore, is my message to you guys. Tum daring karo. Have you heard of this in that? Yeah? Okay. So, dream big. Don't worry about failure. All of us fail. And if you fail, it's only about succeeding tomorrow. Yeah? And I think you guys are in a great place to do fantastic things, not just in a global economy, in a country which is actually seeing amazing amount of positive sentiment. Yeah? So all the best. Thank you very much.